Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode from the AZ900 series. My name is Rashmita, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. This session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. But before we begin, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. I would now like to welcome Swamy, our speaker for today's session. He is an aspirant software architect and currently works at Applied Information Sciences. He loves to learn about new technologies, but for now, I will hand over to Swamy to begin the session. Let me bring him into the stream.
Hey Rashmita,
Hi.
good morning.
Hi. Morning,
How,
morning, Swamy.
how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good, thank you so much.
Awesome. So
Uh,
over to you, and let me bring your screen up.
screen- okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, Swamy. Yeah.
Rashmita,
It's
is
visible.
my
It's
okay? Thank you.
visible. It's visible.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining this session. And in today's session, we will be discussing about majorly about the Azure identity and identity access and security, and some of the things which will be parking it for later sessions, because just want to cover the entire syllabus. So if you see this, we have covered quite a few ground here. The entire section out of these three modules, we are almost 69% here. We'll be covering a little bit more than 70, and rest will cover in the next two sessions, whatever we have. So we'll take baby steps. We have two more sessions, nothing to rush. So in this identity and identity access and security, I was just going through the syllabus, and when I was going through the syllabus, I found that this is heavy stone. I just don't want to cover it in the single session, so I'll break it and I'll bring in some other hands-on mode. Here in this previous session, we had we had couple of things to discuss. If you see that, identity and access management will be covering quite a few ground here uh, on this one. And apart from that, we will again go back and touch upon a couple of these points and see the hands-on, so that it will be a proper mix, and then we'll come back and learn. So that's the way I am thinking. So let's come and start with this, the identity access and security. So let me go and start this introduction. S- ooh, Let me start this with introduction. So here in this introduction course, we will be seeing about describe directory services in Azure, and including Active Directory and Active Directory domain services. And as well as we'll be looking at single sign-on, multi-factor authentication and passwordless authentication, and describe external and guest access, and describe Azure AD conditional access and RBAC. Okay. So I might leave this conditional access and discuss this these four topics. We'll see how it goes based on the amount of time we'll spend. So coming to this Azure Directory Services. So this enables the Microsoft Cloud applications and cloud applications, our custom applications, whatever we develop, to sign in. So it's like identity over the cloud. Okay. So, and for on premise, we used to have the directory services in Windows Server, and we used to create like a domain join where we have one of the box or the laptop or machine where this domain services will be installed, and rest of the organization will connect to it. In previous good olden days, now what is happening is everyone, we are connecting to the cloud. Our laptops and boxes are getting connected to the cloud. Previously it used to be the domain services, the domain join. Even now in our Windows, if we go and see the work group, it shows you that it is a work group or domain join, if it is an independent box or the domain join. Like, who uses the Azure Active Directory? Now, lot of use cases, the Azure Active Directory will be used by the IT administrator, who can grant access to us based on what is our job role. And application developers, so the application developers, we can create the applications and host it. And the entire solution, if it is having 2 to 3 microservices including the web app, a couple of web apps, maybe the admin web app and the customer site, and then the reconciliation site where we go and check how many orders were placed and how many were successful, and something like that. We have multiple applications. And if we start asking users to register and log in into these different applications, or our own fellow associates who are working in the solution, are part of the solution, if they want to log in into these different applications, and they have to remember each and every password. So single sign on helps us. Once we authenticate it, have the token, so we don't need to relog in and again and again. So users also can be able to use this Active Directory. So nowadays, uh, most of the organizations, they are enabling the self-service password reset. So that will reduce the traffic who are coming uh, to the customer service center, or to the administrator, asking him that, "Hey, I forgot, or I mistyped my password more than 4 times and it logged my account. Could you please unlock it?" So having this self-service password reset functionality will help them to go ahead and reset the password. And other online service subscribers, like if you see that Microsoft 365, if you log in there, you don't need to log in into your Outlook or Teams or some other application. It automatically takes you to, you click on that, it takes you to this the particular application. Okay, so what does this Azure AD do? So it helps in authentication, it helps in single sign-on, and also it helps in managing the application, like from cloud to the on-premise, and in SaaS applications or portal, and also in our own device. Okay, so can I connect to my on-premise AD? Definitely, there is a possibility to connect the on-premise AD with the Azure AD. Okay, so we saw this word ADDS in the previous. So Active Directory Domain Service, that provides the domain service as domain join, like group policy, LDAP, and Kerbos and NTLM. Okay, so and other important point is, how does this Azure ADDS works? So let's see this one. So this is the virtual network, and this is on-premise Active Directory. So what will happen is, we will be using this Azure AD Connect to sync. So what will happen is all the users, groups, password, everything will be synced. So you can log in from either place, from this on-premise or from the Active Directory. Okay, automatic background sync to your managed domain. So that helps whether you can authenticate, route the users to the on-premise Active Directory or the cloud. And once it is available in the cloud, again you can take the benefit as if rest of the applications, whatever we were able to do previously, we should be able to do all those things here. So now this is a pretty important topic, uh, Azure authentication methods. So different methods. So one of the methods is our traditional username password, and another method is passwords plus MFA, two-factor authentication, or three-factor authentication. It's a multi-factor authentication, MFA, multi-factor authentication, and the next one is passwordless. When these authentications were increasing, it's because someone else out there on the other side of the table are hacking into this. So that is the reason these more and more security is getting tightened. A couple of months ago, there were two attempts on my Facebook account to they were trying to hack. So I disabled my Facebook account. So these are real, and people are out there like us. They are doing their job to hack. Okay, so we have to be extremely cautious about that. So if you see that from the security perspective and from the convenient perspective, if you see that username passwords are like a low security, and brute force attack can there might be possible that they can crack into a lot of passwords. It's just a matter of time and the algorithm they use. So if you see, high security and inconvenient is password plus two-factor authentication. Like uh, if you give a password, username password, and try to log in, the next thing they'll ask us to uh, in Microsoft, it shows that some number, random number. Then we need to get into the phone, open the authenticator app, or it shows the display of a dialog where we need to enter the number and click on yes, if not deny, or this is not me. So we'll type the number, whatever is appearing on the screen, we'll type the number in the authenticator app and click on yes, and then it will show the biometric and again do a biometric, and it allows us. Or it will send an code to your email, and again we will get the code and put in on the screen, and it allows. And other method is it will give the username password, then it shows the second page and ask us to come and enter the code which appears on the authenticator app. So we need to go to the authenticator app and specifically select the kind of authenticator app we have registered, uh, and that will have a 6-digit code, and we need to enter the 6-digit code. And another one is passwordless authentication, which is pretty much more secure, and we will be having a device. We'll come and we'll discuss about this one. So single sign-on, I think we briefly touched upon. So this helps us to log in into multiple applications. One of the example is like we need to just remember one username password for our office thing. We have the username password with which we log into Outlook, with which we log into Teams, with which we log into the Office 365 and Teams, uh, or the Azure portal or some other application sites for filling the timesheet or whatever those are. So we can use, once we log in to log in and get ourselves authenticated, so rest of the application can use the same token or logged in mechanism and use the same token to go into different applications. You don't need to enter username password again and again. And in the multi-factor authentication, there are three important things. Something user knows, that's the username password. Something user has. So as we were discussing, the code sent to your mobile phone or the email, something user has, the biometric or the face scan. So if I try to enter into Outlook, the first thing is it will ask my username password. I'm talking about the Microsoft Outlook specifically. So it will ask me the username password. I'll enter it. Then it shows a dialog saying that enter this number 45 or 71. It generates a random number, and it's then I need to open this authenticator app and enter the number which is displaying on the screen, and then click on yes, allow, deny, yes, no, or it's not me. Something like three options it displays. I need to key in the same number what is there on my screen and click on yes. Then next it shows the biometric. I'll give a thumb biometric. Then it allows me to get into my Hotmail account. Okay. So multi-factor authentication increases the identity security. Okay. So even if our username password are stolen, still it gives the attacker another layer of defense. Hey, give me this one. Now he sees that number, whatever it is displaying on the screen. Where will he enter? The mobile is with me. So until unless he hacks my mobile and username password, then I can't do anything. But good that I had a multi-factor authentication, at least the two-factor authentication in Facebook. So the attacker was trying to hack my account, and it was sending me uh, two emails. First email I ignored, and the second email when I got it, I took a little serious, and then went and disabled my Facebook account. No, I don't have Facebook account. uh, what is this one we have discussed, multi-factor authentication. Let's see about the passwordless authentication. And passwordless authentication, there are a couple of things which is sometimes we feel that is it danger, there are no password, how will we log in? In fact, this is turning out to be more secure, and might be we don't need any passwords in future. I'm assuming that that might be the world in future. The first one is, if you see some of the laptops, they have the biometric. We will do a finger scan. We will use this index finger and we'll do the scan there, or thumb, or we'll use the facial recognition. And another one is Microsoft Authenticator app. So there are couple of ways this authentication. I saw at least three ways uh, in the authenticator apps which I have. The first mechanism is this: when I give the username password, it gives the number. I enter that number and click on yes. Then the biometric. That is first method. The second method is whenever this is also coming as part of this Microsoft Authenticator app. Second method is I'll just click on, just send the username, and it doesn't ask anything, username and password, and it doesn't ask anything. All is it displays a pop-up from the authenticator app on my mobile, and then again I need to give the biometric. That's it. And another mechanism is, sometimes if I go and change the settings in the repository of the GitHub, like I added a branch policy or did some kind of changes at the time, when I click on save, all it does is it goes to the second screen and it displays a text box and says that enter the code from your authenticator app. Then I need to open the authenticator app, and multiple applications will be registered in the authenticator app, and I will go to the GitHub, and I'll see that six digit number, which will be at max 30 seconds if I'm not wrong. It will be available for the 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds it regenerates the six digit number. So we need to ensure that I always stop entering this number if it is 10 or 10 seconds or lesser, because I don't know, by the time I see the authenticator app and enter and press enter key, if that six digit code expires, again I need to re-enter. So I will wait until it comes back to 30 seconds and then enter. I decently have 30 seconds to enter that. Now, this one, fast identity online too, FIDO2 security keys. Previously, we used to have this RAS token, we used to call the dongles, a small USB, where the similar concept, the keys gets generated every 30 seconds or lesser. I'm not sure exactly, but I also used it back in 2008 and 2006, 7, 8. During that time, I used it, but the tokens will generate. And now let's discuss about this external identities. Okay. Before that, at least I have to show you what is this Azure Active Directory and how does it look. So previously it used to be Azure Active Directory, now Entra ID. So you can come to the search box and Azure Active. If you type this Azure Active Directory, uh, it used to be the Azure Active Directory, but okay. So now it's being called as Entra. This one, Microsoft Entra ID. This itself, uh, previously it used to be called Azure Active Directory, is now Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, technically this itself is Azure Active ID. It's like a pyramid shape. If you come and see this, the blue color one, uh, it's like this one. I need to select this. And what all the things we have it here, we will see at a high level, and then we will look into this one. So the first thing is we can add multiple users, and you can come back and check the sign-ins, like are there any suspicious sign-in, and all those things will be available. One of the fantastic thing in this Microsoft Azure Active Directory, what I found is it it alerts the sign-in. See this, whenever my IP address of my router changes, it is catching. See, there's something called conditional access, which we will park it for today. We'll come back and we'll discuss about this. We'll cover rest of the topics. So you see that from which IP address I logged in. Most of the times it shows Sikandrabad, but Ibrahimbad, Telangana. I don't know. Maybe the router was routing through that. I but it tracks this one. And also you can see the audit logs, and we can do the password reset, and also we can have this some of this permission rules, like what is that which is available for guest users. We'll see that one. Okay. Now suppose if I come back to the users and click on users, like the two things which we have seen, that we can create the user. If we create the user, that user will be part of our domain. Right now I have one domain, so this is the domain which will be for this Active Directory or Entra ID. Okay, I can create it, and then we can have the display name and password, or you can generate the auto generate. And then some of the properties we can specify, and the user type is either the member or the guest is like, uh, you can pass it to Gmail or Yahoo or some other account. Okay. And also one of the important thing which I want to speak is the group and the role. So suppose if I have to give some specific permission, if I start giving it to each and individual member, even if it is 10 or 20, I have to repeat the same job again and again. So that is unnecessary efforts. So what we can do is we can create a group and start adding multiple people into the group. Suppose I have group A, group B, group C. Based on the specific job role, we'll give the permissions. And when we are creating the users, we can drop them to multiple or different groups based on their job role. So if they are moving from job role 1 to job role 2, all we need to do is move from group 1 to group A. So in that case, we don't need to do a lot of jobs. Like in a group A, we have 10 people. You don't need to go and add or remove from 10 people. We can do it at a group level that goes and gets percolated to all the folks who are there in that group. Okay, that is one thing. Now we'll see one more thing here is we'll see if you are inviting the guest user. So here it says that email address of the user you would like to invite to your organization. So to this uh, organization, in the sense, this is the one. I'll show you what is that, and we can send a personal message for that. So let me come back to this one. So this is the name of the Active Directory organization. So the name, okay. The primary domain name is this one. So that is the reason when we are going and creating a new user, you see this here at the rate. The domain name is the same which you are seeing here in the basic information, the domain. This is the entire name of the Active Directory. And specifically, we can see the groups also here. There will be different groups. So you can create the groups. So that will help organizing organizing the permissions. Okay, so access reviews we can come and check in that. For some reason it is taking little time. I don't want to waste our time there, so I'm moving. We'll come and see from here. No, it's taking the same time. Let's move to the next topic. And another thing is, I'll come here to the enterprise application. So if you see this enterprise application is, this is what I was talking about. We can create an application, and that's the application name and object ID. Now, if you go and select this application, this shows how can we log into this one. So application ID and all these things will be here, and all we can do is the role and other things. The user interface itself is changing so fast, and let me see, is does that moved into this one? I just want to see that where did that move. uh, yeah, so we need to specify the read, if not, and also admin consent. So grant admin consent. So whenever the user logs in, so it throws this dialog, and application, we deploy it to the Azure websites. The user is trying to log into the Azure websites, and once he types any endpoint in the URL of the application, it routes it to the Azure AD, this tenant, because we have registered here. So this registration will add it to that application and deploy. So when someone logs in, they don't need to maintain any username, password, anything. They, if they belong to our group or the Azure AD or the tenant or organization, so they'll be definitely routed to this site, and the token will be sent back, and they will be continuing from there. Okay, that's about this one. And you can see that external identity. So we can provide this external identity also here. If you see that external identity, if you click on that, it gives what is kind of things which we want to do. We'll see that. And what else we can discuss, just a moment. And this is app registration, that is enterprise one. Yeah, so if you see here, I think I was on the wrong screen. So this is what I was looking at. I'm sorry, I was at the wrong screen previously. Now if you see that, in the authentication, I have to add the endpoints with which I'll be logging in. If I don't add the endpoint, but still I configure the this identity properly, but still will not be able to use. So this is very important. So you need to come and add those endpoints over here, and then front end URL, if it all whatever is allowed, you need to add it there, and also select the tokens you would like to issued by the authorized authorization endpoint. So it is access token and ID token. And again, which one to use, when do you use ID tokens, when do you use access token, that's again comes into the authentication piece from the application development perspective. But I don't want to derail this session, I'll just keep going. And whatever this application which we are registering, whether it is a single tenant or a multi-tenant, okay. And this one, allow public client flows, something we can configure. And branding and properties is like we can select the logos and everything. The login screen, we can do some part of the customization which gets appeared when someone is trying to log in. So the authentication scheme, we have seen that we need to give the endpoints whatever with which you'll be logging in. And token configuration, I think I didn't do. I think at other places, as I was mentioning, you need to grant admin consent. If not, in the other place we saw that it's a blue button which was showing. So what happens is the users will see and they need to click on that. And app roles, I think I didn't add. Expose API, yeah, this one will be there. That's it from the app registration. So this kind of registration application, when you registered, now the configuration, the application ID, the security things, whatever we have it here, what we can do is we can configure that in the multiple applications. So what happens is, for all those applications, the token is coming from this registered application. So now what happens is it will be used, multiple applications can use same application which is registered here, and they can log in with a single token exchange. We can work, maybe the back end and the front end both are getting the token, both are getting it here. So front end will retrieve the token, pass it to the back end, and then back end also hooked up to the same application registered here, and it can validate because the client ID registration and everything is happening here. It will recognize the token. You don't need to maintain a separate set of username passwords there. And anything else for us to discuss? Could be, I'm assuming this is the Azure AD Connect. See this, whatever is Azure AD Connect, AAD, they're calling it as, once we were here, it called it as Entra ID Connect, Microsoft Entra Connect, but technically good old name was Azure AD Connect. So this is the sync tool which will be deploying it, and then it syncs the username password from on-premise to cloud. I think that's the decent walkthrough, and also you can see that um, we can have the devices registered here. Okay, we can add the devices registered here. So that's a decent walkthrough. And here, if you see that from the external identities perspective, we have two things. One is Azure B2B and Azure B2C. So B2B is collaboration with here the first one. So business to business, past partners, vendors, and suppliers for their collaboration will use the B2B. And you can see that our tenant is here. We are inviting them to the organization. Okay. And second one is Azure B2C, modern SaaS application and custom developed applications. And we use this business to customer. Okay, this is anyone with social logins. This is for the customers, and this is for the vendors. There's one specific point between these two. B2B collaborators users are represented in your Active Directory typically as a guest user. That's one important point which I wanted to highlight. That's what I was looking at it. So you can see here these partners or vendors or suppliers, they'll be registered as a guest user here. But whereas this one, these people are all separate identity systems, maybe the Facebook or Google or GitHub. Now they're recognizing. So the conditional access I will park for it, and we'll go and we'll discuss about the Azure role-based access control. So this is very important. I'll show you demo in a moment. Just give me 1 minute. I'll have a glass of water. Okay. So why do we need role-based access control? One important point. Thank God we touched upon this. So when I come back and add anyone, or just I'm adding someone, maybe the I invited a user or I created a new user. So when I do that, that does not mean that he can come in, log in into this account, and uh, he start creating. No, he can't do anything. Only he'll be able to log in and he'll see nothing. No permissions will be allowed until unless we give him the permission. So I'll show you that interface. We will see that how it looks. So the role-based access is applied to a scope. So three important things is like you need the user and you need the resources and scope. What is that scope on which it is acting upon? So if you see that, you can apply the scope. This is the role. So the role is owner, means admin. He can do anything here. Uh, at the management level or subscription level, resource group level, or the resources level. When we add the RBAC at a level, so it will get percolated to all the bottom levels. Suppose if I add a role at the resource group scope, so it will be added to the all the resources. And again, from the role perspective, if you see that there are some generic roles and some specific roles. So generic role is something like a contributor and owner. So these kind of things will get applied to all the things. And something very specific like blob reader or blob contributor. So that means only it is applicable for that specific resource. It's not applicable to, it's not generic that you say that this guy is owner for this subscription or contributor on this subscription. That means he can go and create the resources. And again, we can customize, like he can be contributor, he can do anything, but he can't delete it. Something like that. He is a contributor, but he can't create a virtual machine which is charging, which is more than 5,000 rupees per month. No, we are not going to allow. So we can create those kind of custom roles also. But one key thing is, you have a user, you have a role, whether it is a generic or specific, and you have a scope. Scope is where do you attach? Is it on the management group? Is it on the subscription? Or is it on resource group? Is it on the resource? Okay. So as we have seen, that is enforced on an action that is initiated against the Azure resource that passes through the Azure Resource Manager. So, and we can use this multiple things. This I'm parking. This is purely the hands-on perspective. We'll come back to that one. So I'll come back here and select the subscription, and we'll select this. Here you can see that IAM. So in this IAM, I can come back to the role assignments, and you can see that my role assignment is user access administrator. The root is initiated. Suppose if I want to add someone, so role assignment. Okay. If I click on this role assignment, it will show. Here you can see this one, the category. Some of the things are general, as we have seen in the image. As we have seen in this image, this is general. And if you see, some things are very specific to the storage account or management and governance, and these kind of things. Some things are purely from the administrator. Let's see those couple of things. General, inside this. So you can see that this contributor, there are different types of contributors, something in web, something in storage, and these are coming as part of others. And you can see the networking, monitor, mixed reality, governance, internet of things, and integration. Okay, there's some other guys are hiding in here. Machine learning database, and you can see that identity contributors and integrators. Like this, we can see that what is this, and we can customize on top of that. Let's see that web plan contributor. So what does that web plan contributor is? So you can see these are the permissions which are given for that specific guy on different resources, Microsoft resource and Microsoft health and support and all these things. So we can look at the assignments, what all the assignments which are here, and we see this JSON. So this will be coming in AZ204 and AZ104 certification, but definitely not. Uh, as far as I remember, it will not appear in exam this level. It's just you need to know that what and what. That's it. Okay, so that is at a subscription level. Suppose if I'm coming to the resource group, if I'm coming to the resource group, again you can see that access IAM, and here also you can do the similar thing. So now this is applicable to a resource group. Okay, that's the subscription, across the subscription, and this is very specific to the resource group. Let's go to some other resource group where I have few things. I can come in here, and on that specific thing I can add, like for this service bus, I can come and I can add this. So we saw, we didn't touch the management level, but we saw the subscription level resource group level and resource level. We saw the specific permissions, roles, and the Azure resource specific and then generic. So we have seen both these things. Okay. So I think we have covered this to a decent level, one, two, three, four topics. And then we'll come back, we'll switch here and we'll start with this Azure Functions. It's called serverless computing. So if you see in the previous demos where we have seen multiple things. So we have seen the uh, virtual machine where we call that as a infrastructure as a service, IaaS. And then we, at least at a high level, we have seen that the app service. Let's see that, and then we'll come back to this one. So here, if you see that courses API, so this is the platform as a service, PaaS. Okay, platform as a service. So you can see that runtime stack is .NET 7, and you can see that it has got a app service plan, and app service plan is nothing more than the computing power. So what is that? It is guaranteeing. Okay, if you see that the plan is D1, so what does D1 means? We will see. It is X number of computing computing power is guaranteed. So that means what we are telling is there are no vCPUs attached to it. We are going to get 1 GB of RAM and 1 GB of storage. So no scale instances, no service level agreements. So it's going to charge 1 point change Indian rupees per hour and at the rate of 800 rupees per month. So as and when you need more computing power, you see on the right side. I'm not scaring, but I'm telling that if you take basic B3, it is 17,000. And keep a watch on the features also, not only on the budget but features. If you see budget and you take a lesser computing power, it will not cater the needs and you'll lose business. So you should go based on the business needs features. The price will be taken care by the business, but what business needs, we need to do that. So let's come back to this one where we have seen the number of apps which are using the same app service plan, and we are able to access this. Now, what is Azure Functions? So if you see infrastructure as a code where all the virtual machine, operating system, security patches, everything is our responsibility. We saw that the picture, shared responsibility model picture, we have seen that. Now, when it comes to the PaaS service, at the time we don't have any control on the underlying hardware, but they are guaranteeing the computing power. Okay, I'm going to give you 4 vCPUs, this much of RAM and this much of memory. That's being guaranteed. So that's the platform as a service. So you need to worry only about the application and the data. So the next is you don't even need to worry about the computing power. Where this that is where this Azure functions are coming in. So all you need to worry is only a single this thing is the code, the piece of code. It gets executed. That's it. You don't need to worry about this one, anything. So if you see, I just want to show you, but there is a catch. That's what I want to highlight that. But there is a catch. If you come here, see the plan here, the app service plan. The app service plan is Y. So that is called dynamic. Azure App App Service Plan Y1. So that's called dynamic plan. Okay, if you see the skew, there is something known as dynamic, that's called the Y1 plan. That's for the Azure function. So you see these numbers FD, B series, S series, P series, and the Y series is on Azure functions. So correct, dynamic. So this one, Azure Functions Consumption Plan, Function Consumption Plan or Y1 plan. Only if you choose Y1 or consumption plan, that is pure serverless. If not, it is not serverless. So other types of app service plan also you can choose, where you're saying that dedicatedly I want the previous computing powers, whatever we have seen, that if you choose that, in that case what will happen is, that means you are paying X amount monthly. But the decision should be made very, very careful, whether you need to go with the dynamic plan, the function consumption plan, or the app service plan. Because assume that the Azure Functions dynamic plan, if you read the documentation, it is very, very cheap. Until some of the free grant, if you see that, take the free grant, the number of hits and the number of bytes, there's a huge grant which is coming, and whatever you get charged will be on top of that. Okay, but for the service plan, no matter what, you have to charge some amount monthly. So imagine a scenario, per day, hypothetically, it's not the exact numbers, but hypothetically I'm giving you a scenario. Assume that your Azure function is getting called 1000 times a day and around 30,000 times a day, and you took the premium P1 plan, and you want your function to get executed fast, or for whatever the reason you decided to take the app service plan, that is a premium plan, and it is getting charged huge amount, around 1 lakh rupees or something like that. Now, is it making sense to provision that much of computing power and you don't use it? It is, you're wasting the money, isn't it? Suppose if you're getting, there are 10 lakh calls happening and it definitely needs that much, and then you can provision it with the computing power. But when the number of hits which are hitting the Azure functions are low, then stick with the consumption plan. We need to do that first, test how it is, how many calls are coming, and do a computation, what is the what is this amount which is coming from the free grant, what is that you are going to charge versus what will be the charge when you provision the app service plan. Just do a difference, and as and when we can switch if you want, but take a careful decision. So that's about the Azure function. And I want to touch upon this containers. So now world is moving towards the containers. Okay, so it's a lightweight, you have all the application and its dependencies, everything is getting packaged here. So even if you have the containers, you can you can deploy the containers in Azure container instance, or Azure container apps, or in Azure Kubernetes service. And one other method, what we can do is, I will show you. If I am coming back here and want to create a web app, even web app supports the containerization. We'll see that web apps, and I will go and select this, and here is Docker container. So there are three modes. One is code. Good thing is it is supporting .NET 8 now. I'm very happy to see this. It's LST, and that's the code, and you can have your application packaged into the container, and the container can be public or private container. Based on that, you need to give the credentials. And one is this static app. So that's another thing on top of the three things, like Azure container instance, uh, simplest way to run the container, container apps, and Azure Kubernetes service. And the fourth one we have seen just now is Azure App Service also has got one of the option as containers. We can deploy that to containers. Okay. So with that, we will see what is the thing. We almost covered till 80% of this one. So in the next two sessions, we will complete this and 20% of this. Okay. In this, what is there? If you see, uh, describe the cost management and tools like PowerShell and Azure resource groups. The resource lock is very, very important. And this is the one I was talking about, PowerShell ARM templates, and some of the monitoring tools, which are very, very important. We'll see that one. It's this things we will break into two sessions and then come back and complete the 20% from here. So what I am planning to do is, we'll take two topics from this and 10% of this, and again two topics of this and 10% of this. So that way we'll be completing all three sections, the entire syllabus of AZ 900. And then please go ahead and watch rest of the syllabus, and feel free to post some queries. If I'm unable to answer immediately, I'll go read and I'll come back and answer. Okay. Rashmita, back to you. Thanks so much for joining, guys. Back to you, Rashmita.
Thank you so much, Swami. And let me share the Learn module link. I have already shared the Learn module link in the chat section. Please feel free to use the Learn module link. This will give you access to additional resources to take your learning further. Thank you, Swami, once again for hosting an amazing session at the Reactor, and thank you all for joining us today. Please visit Microsoft Reactor website for more upcoming session. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, folks.